Alrighty guys, it is Quaman here today, and yes guys, I don't like doing these spoiler alerts, you guys already know it, but out of courtesy for those of you who still have not seen the episode, if you have not caught up to Dragon Ball Super episode 128, this video will contain spoilers, and don't worry, until Super's initial run where it will be taking a hiatus or ending in March, I will only do this for the time being, and after that, you don't have to worry about these spoiler alerts. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this discussion about Vegeta. So, I wanted to talk to you guys about Super Saiyan Blue and beyond that. Beyond Super Saiyan Blue, Royal Super Saiyan Blue with sparkly hair, whatever you want to call Vegeta's newest transformation, because there are unofficial names for it, and there's also kind of like a pseudo-official name, which is referring to it as Super Saiyan Blue and beyond that, but that is so ridiculous. So I'm just going to call the transformation Beyond Super Saiyan Blue to make it simpler for you guys to understand, and I think that is kind of the, I guess you could say, the colloquial term for Vegeta's Super Saiyan Bluish state. Yes, I know, it's so insane, guys. You know, it's even worse than Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which was the title that I hated. And when I talk about this actual transformation, guys, I wanted to talk to you guys about, do you guys actually feel like this form was wasted within Dragon Ball Super? So, the first thing we have to start off with is the originality. And when you look at this actual form for its design, I mean, as I said before, it's essentially Super Saiyan Blue with a slight change in eye color, with slightly sparkly colors, and that's pretty much what it is. I mean, it does look a little bit different from a normal Super Saiyan Blue, but as I was arguing with one of my friends about is that the only way you can really compare this form to a Super Saiyan Blue is if you see another Super Saiyan Blue standing next to it. So you can only really see the difference if you see like a Super Saiyan Blue Goku standing with a Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, but by itself, you'd probably forget that this is actually its own thing, which in general, I would say that this form doesn't really have a lot of originality in terms of its design, but I will say the aura looks cooler, and I'm not trying to put a pun intended there with that, but I'm being honest, I do like the aura, at least, but design-wise, it's not really saying much, and in many ways, it kind of reminds me of Vegeta's Super Saiyan 2 along with Goku's, because if you look at Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, and my friend Jax Blade pointed this out, compared to Gohan, and I'm talking specifically about teen/kid Gohan, their Super Saiyan 2 states barely look different from Super Saiyan 1, so much so to the point where if you really paid attention to the hair bangs and the electricity, it would almost be hard to even differentiate between Super Saiyan in the first place. And, you know, looking at it from the perspective of Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan was like the only Super Saiyan 2 that really looked different from Super Saiyan 1, and if you compare this with Cauliflaw and Kaba, and even if you want to look at Kale's weird Berserk transformation change, you know, which was obviously different from her regular Berserk, but Kale never really had a Super Saiyan 2, you could honestly put Super Saiyan Blue and beyond that in that same category of it not really looking that original compared to previous forms. And the other thing I wanted to bring up about this, guys, is that when you look at how Vegeta actually accomplished this form in the first place, I mean, looking at it in terms of its origin, it was just kind of like a forced transformation, kind of like Super Saiyan Rage was, where it's like the character just gets it by tapping into themselves, and Super kind of needs you to have a stronger transformation, so let's just give Vegeta a new transformation so that he can fight against stronger characters because the Tournament of Power is ending and we need to sell more toys. That's essentially the vibe I kind of got out of Vegeta's origin for using it, because with all of the training that Vegeta has had, and he's actually trained more than Goku because he's gone into the hyperbolic time chamber and has squeezed more training in limited time, Vegeta never really had that training he did by himself applied to actually getting something new. It all of a sudden just came at a random moment throughout the Tournament of Power where his limits were broken and Vegeta tapped into himself into getting this transformation out of nowhere. So in terms of how he actually got the form, I would say that's very unoriginal too, because looking at how Goku got Ultra Instinct, it seems like Super itself is kind of confused as to how Goku got it, because they're bringing in Spirit Bomb and Kefla this and Kefla that, and, you know, Goku reaching into himself to find all of his family that needs him. Like, Dragon Ball Super is kind of drawing a thin line of how did these characters actually get these forms, and they're just getting them because the plot needs them to get them, as opposed to originally in Dragon Ball Z and even in Dragon Ball, where there was a specific reason and a specific level of training as to how these characters actually attain the form. And Ultra Instinct is a little bit different because Goku had that training with Whis and Beerus, but at the same time Vegeta had that same training with Whis and Beerus too, and that was never applied to this Royal Super Saiyan Blue form anyways. So yeah, I think you guys are kind of getting my point here with the originality of this form. And to talk to you guys specifically about the actual accomplishments of this form, guys, here's where we have a different case, because it did defeat Toppo, who is the second strongest character in the Tournament of Power. So if you combine that with Vegeta using his final explosion, which was taking a direct flashback to what happened when Vegeta fought against Fat Buu, I would say in terms of accomplishments, it did do something. And, you know, although Vegeta kind of burnt out all of his energy when he used that technique, even though in the very next episode he kind of tapped into his power again, you can say that Vegeta, for at least a brief amount of time, fought against the strongest character in the Tournament of Power and the second strongest character in the Tournament of Power that's not on Universe 7 in both Toppo and Jiren. So it did do something at the very least, which gives it some level of at least giving it some form of relevance to Vegeta specifically. But in the grand scheme of things, that brings us into our next point. And our next point is to talk about the long-lasting impact of Super Saiyan Blue and beyond that, or whatever you want to call it. And looking at this transformation, guys, I don't think this form has any long-lasting impact. And the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of times when you look at something that is occurring, right? So as of right now, Dragon Ball Super is airing. A lot of times we get kind of caught up in what's happening now, and we don't really look at the long-term impacts of how this will be looked at in the future. So, in the future, do you think Ultra Instinct will be something that will definitely be remembered by Dragon Ball fans? Well, the thing about Ultra Instinct, and obviously a lot of people are talking about Ultra Instinct and Mastered Ultra Instinct now, is the fact that at least the story kind of gave us some form of background with the training, plus Goku having experience using it against Kefla and Jiren originally to somewhat give it its own feel. And Ultra Instinct is not a Super Saiyan transformation, so when you combine that compared to the Super Saiyan Blue and beyond that, it's kind of its own thing, even though the design doesn't really look that original. And when you look at this in the case of Vegeta, it feels like beyond Super Saiyan Blue was a transformation that was created to hype up fans and to promote sales and business. In theory, if you really honestly think about this, from the very beginning of Goku and Vegeta learning Super Saiyan Blue in the first place, theoretically, Goku should actually have Super Saiyan Beyond Blue the same way that Vegeta did, because they had a very similar training regimen together. And on top of this, if anybody had mastery of Super Saiyan Blue with obviously using the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and if there was one character that was tapping into his own limits, as we saw Goku doing with Ultra Instinct and more, Goku should actually be using Super Saiyan Beyond Blue the same way that Vegeta did. But it goes to show you that this was a transformation that they were clearly creating to differentiate Vegeta with Goku. And I think this became even more obvious when you saw Goku and Vegeta tag teaming Jiren. And I don't mean that in a dirty way, as a lot of you guys are going to comment that. But if you look at the way that Goku and Vegeta were fighting against Jiren, they clearly wanted to show you a difference in how their Super Saiyan Blue forms looked until Goku unlocked his Ultra Instinct and mastered Ultra Instinct again. And in the short term, they had to just give Vegeta something that would allow him to compete with stronger characters that he wasn't able to compete with before. And I honestly think that years from now, this will be looked at as a variant of a Super Saiyan Blue that's not really going to be memorable to Dragon Ball fans, because Vegeta was given this form at the very end of the Tournament of Power, and because it was overshadowed by Goku's Ultra Instinct, I don't really think that many fans will care outside of Vegeta fans. And I'm a Vegeta fan myself, so I'm not trying to hate on the transformation. I'm just trying to be honest with you guys, and I know I say I like to be honest with you guys a lot, but I really honestly just want to give you a true hardcore analysis about what this form has actually done within the Dragon Ball series. So, with everything else said, guys, I think this form was just a gimmick, but if you guys have a difference of opinion and if you disagree with the points I made in this video, let me know what you think in the comment section below. But as far as I'm concerned, Beyond Super Saiyan Blue was a waste of time. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.